comments, observations before we continue?
Do you have an application that Center for Project Management has developed?
No, we help our client depending, everybody has different software. So this is the front we help them create using whatever backend they may have from a Microsoft project or anything else. So the input from there is defined and then we help them create that. Yeah. All right, so let's just quickly look at very important thing in charter portfolio. We have the size estimate, we have the complexity assessment. Very important is functionality keywords. Objective, what we desired, what we planned is in the charter now. And so later on, so now size estimate, we have work hours, work days, medium, large, mega. I looked at one of the documentation, I went to ca.gov and did some research, project sizing. You have project sizing, but I believe the large and mega projects are too big. He said 3 to 10 years. That is a big stretch of time. I think it should be no more than a couple of years in that. It also goes from few million to 100 million. So I think that needs to be tweaked, but it is there and it's fine, it needs to improve. Mega, and also in the portfolio, the charters, we don't give an end date. When I build a house, the builder didn't give me an end date, he gave me build days. He said there are 112 to 120 build days. And the end date would be depending on when we start. Because if I start in winter time, then there'll be rain. If I start in summertime and so forth. Here, I don't know the end time, but I know the build days that I have. And mega size estimate, mega, this is 1 to 5 million is good. 5 to 100 million to me is too big, and mega 100 million, you should just call it failed projects. It's going to be called, that's how it should be. It should be just called a sinkhole, And it will not only, you will sink, it will draw in black hole few other projects as well. So it's not a good thing to do that. This is very important. We went to go off to organization after organization, lot of duplication in that. The reason is people don't know what other people are doing. It's a very simple solution. In the charter of every project, you have a master list of functionality that you click and draw from. So for your agency, if you have a master list alphabetically, you say, my project does this, does this, does this. You cannot enter your own term into this list. You can only request entry into a master list by one person in charge, and then you do this. Before a project goes from idea to charter, you are required to Google your internal database to say, are anybody else doing that? And right there, you will see who's doing it, what they're doing it, and you can collaborate with them, work with them, whatever needs to be done. You can actually reduce 10 to 15% right now in your projects. Larger the organization, more duplication takes place. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. So now I have the portfolio demand, I have dollars, work hours, resources, all of that. I have IT, customers, third party, all this information is available because I have developed it, infrastructure, so I know the demand. This is the project execution here. So user supply, this is what is all planned, this is what was desired, so we can take a look at that, and we can also see what is in trouble. Yellows and greens are in trouble. So at least tell people, our project is going to be 3 months behind ahead of time, rather than the week that they need to be knowing, and so forth. So now that we have deployed the project, it's the same diagram, but these are deployed projects. Now the achieve is there, so we know we planned, we desire, and then we achieve. All information is available. Then for suspended projects, if you talk to engineers, if there's ever a building, a structure that they have to demolish or it doesn't work, they're always, okay, what can we recover from it, right? So if we have to let a project go, can we recover the database? Can we recover the security code? Can we recover what needs to be recovered so there's not a total loss? We can do that. This is not done by most organizations because because they don't think of it, they don't plan it this way. And if they think of it, they would plan better this way. In fact, in engineering, sometimes recovery stuff is more valuable because they don't make it anymore, and you're paying high price for those. So recovery plan, and then we have a cancel project. On that we say, okay, what is the sunk cost, and what can we harvest from here before we throw it away? So now it's not a total failure. We did the project, it didn't go well. What can I recover? What can I harvest? And then we go on. So that's the harvesting plan. And if you want to take a look at that harvesting plan, Project Halt, Google it. I wrote a whole bunch of process on that. You can take a look at some time. So here, this is the stuff you have now. I desired to have so much more improvement. I desire to have so much efficiency. What did I plan? What did I achieve? And so total summary. So this is very much like if you have financial investment, somebody tells you, what is your financial investment? Look at this point, and you can work on that. So that is, at the end, your screensaver. So that's the project management portfolio. All right. Now, a couple of things I'll talk about: governance board and portfolio management. Governance board should not be IT people. In fact, the governance board, IT should be minority, agency people should be majority. Because if it's all IT, it becomes a IT portfolio. Folks, it's not an IT portfolio. IT people are building a portfolio for customers. So customers need to be represented on the decision making. So this way, they can also take the blame. They can also take the credit. And right now, all credit goes to them. All blame goes to IT. And that is not the way it's supposed to be. So they need to be involved in this, very important. And they need to provide resources and budget for that. So I'm very pleased to hear that Carlos mentioned this morning that he's working on a PMO at high level and all that. That's very, very, very good. Portfolio management process. How do you understand that? You go to a class. We do not want anybody in the governance team who has not gone to a governance class, which is minimally 4 hours, better 8 hours they've gone. They have to get a certificate. They can't send somebody else to go. Here, you go for me. I'm busy today. No, the governance board people, you to do a seminar, you educate them, and then they come in and do that. Portfolio management reports to the governor. So this is the portfolio manager. And again, very important this part. It's not a technical person. It's a person who's technical but has business knowledge, agency knowledge, understands all the way from legislature to your house how things work. So they have to be at that level. If they are purely technical, they are not of use. As a manager for the portfolio, they are okay as program manager, but not portfolio managers. Let's talk about how do you select a project. There are about 7 ways to select a project. I'm going to talk through 4, just introduce to you, and you can then go back and see which one of these or others I need to bring into my organization as a strategy alignment. So you should go to your agency and ask yourself, what is our strategy? This is an alphabetic list of strategies. Yours could be budget reduction. Yours could be business retention. Yours could be employee wellness. Yours could be renewable energy. Yours could be water conservation. What is your innovative government? What is your agency's strategy? You need to know that. Then you need to say, okay, is it widely known? No, it's not widely known. Is it a screensaver? No, it's not a screensaver. That's a other screensaver you should have. Not the cats and dogs and all, which is good. You have those, but there's a screensaver of agency strategy so that you understand. If you want to get a tattoo, that's not a bad tattoo. You get a agency. If you stay with that agency, if you want to move to other agency, then you have more space for other tattoos. But so how committed are you to this? Just don't get it on your neck. This will look worse than other tattoos. All right. So now, these are my strategies. budget reduction, business retention, employee wellness, and renewable energy, and I have 10 projects, and that's what they are. And are they right or enough or not, I will know soon, but the projects have to belong to strategies. Strategies have projects underneath them, so we have that. The other is likelihood of success and impact on strategic objectives. Again, I won't go into details, but projects can be desirable, most desirable, consider and avoid. So you can say, my likelihood of success is high, but impact on strategy is low, let's consider it. But if the likelihood of success is low and impact on strategy, to do it. It's not a project you need to do. And this is very desirable, this is most desirable. So if you take a look at, so if you have 8 projects, which one you accept? You accept more on that side, less on this side. So this is one filtering process. The other filtering process is project complexity and value. So you say, what is the value to the, and there's a value definition system, we can teach you that. And then what is complexity? Most of you who use CAPMM know how to compute complexity. So now you have a project that sits here. So now desirable project, most desirable project, avoid. If complexity is high, value is low, why to do it? If complexity is low, value is high, most desirable, called low-hanging fruits. So now you know is the other filter to do this. The third filter is, this is goals grid. That is, what is our goal? All right, we have, do we need this? And do we have it? So this is very good to take a look at existing projects. And you want to look at, should they be doing it or not? You say, okay, we have a project. Yes. Do we need it? No. That means you need to remove it or avoid it. If we need it, high. We have it, no. So you can take and preserve it. So if you have projects now, where should they go? You need to filter through this to see, do they belong in my filter or not? So that's the other. So these are different ways to look at project, to filter into your projects. So we now select the projects using one or more of the filters. We develop a size estimate. We do the funding line limit. So we say, okay, I have 12 projects. I done the size limit. My budget is $25 million. So now I know most projects are underestimated. They also go over budget. So I'm going to keep $3 million in reserve. So for rainy day. And now I can only do the first 10 projects. If I need to do 11, either I have to reduce my reserve or trade off with the other project, or break down the third project into 2 projects, 3 million and 3 million. We'll put project number 12 in, and half the other one will be done later on. So now you can do an adjustment in your portfolio to do that. So this is something to do. And now we have our strategies, our projects. So we are spending $4 million on renewable and energy. What percent is that of the total budget? It's not enough. We need to do more. So we need to bring more projects in, because renewable and energy is higher level than employee wellness or business retention or budget deficit. You can see which one of those. You can rank order your strategy, and then also look at the importance. What is the importance? You say, well, and you say business retention is not important anymore this year. We will go to some other item to do, so you can do it this fashion. And every 3 months, you look at your portfolio from these filters and these items, because things can change as we are going along. So strategy, project to strategy, load the portfolio, review monthly, and then we balance it. So why the project, how the project, holistic project, all of this we talked about. Was everybody in the morning session? How many people were not in the morning session? Only one. So you talk to your neighbor, they'll tell you what was in the morning session. Because we talked about that already. So the idea is, there's a set of vital signs we need to have, and you should have more than just 1 or 2 vital signs. So if I look at project at risk because the vendor is not performing, so I look at number 6, vendor viability. I need to do more of that. Technology is not performing as I thought it would. I look at number 3. Customers are not happy, not accepting projects we deliver. We deliver on time, if they talk at the lunchtime, but the customer doesn't like it. So now we have number 2 to be looked at. So we look at all those. Team effectiveness, number 14, for projects that are very complex. So there also was a discussion in the afternoon session I went. They talked about where the vendor and the local team have to come into a room without attorneys and negotiate where we should move further. Well, that needs to be done. And so look at the value of the customers, all those, and value to business achieved. And again, I talked about this morning that not much of that is done. So vital signs, we don't use all the vital signs for all projects. Complex project, more vital signs. Not complex project, less vital signs. Again, if you get into a single linear plane, there are only few gauges in there. If you go to a 747, there are dozens of gauges all over the place. And if you get into one of those things that you just fly off the cliff, there are no gauges there at all. You just go there, that's the gauge. And so a friend of mine recently said he was going to start doing parasailing. I said, do you have insurance? He said, no. I said, well, I'd like to buy you some term life insurance where I could be the recipient. And I said, I'll give you a funeral that you'll be so happy about. You'll be we will be parasailing all over the place. I do that. He didn't agree to that, so I had to go to a sales class. Anyway, he had 3 kids. Talk about stupidity. I told him, get them through college, then you can jump off any cliff, or get $3 million insurance, then jump off any cliff. Anyway, insurance class. Other thing, you can tell all projects that are unaligned very quickly. You can tell duplicate. You can tell all of these with a few seconds of looking at that, and the desired plan achieved performance. We budget deficit reduction was desired 12%. We planned for 10% reduction with 3 projects. We achieved 8% with 3 projects, shortfall of 4. So now we have achieved 8. We were trying to do 12. We need more projects to do that. So you can say desired plan achieved for any objective that you have. We can give you that. And portfolio, it can give you all kind of information. Summary information, very, very quickly. Project finish date. You say, all I want to know is landing time of airplanes. They can give you that. This is landing time of airplanes. Then there is a project start time. If the projects don't start in time, you say 7 projects were supposed to start last week, 3 started, 4 are still waiting, so they are now landing problems. We can do that. Project status, we can look at all of these things. Project duration, about 112 days. This one you finish 117. 110 days, finish 130. You can look at a trend. So you can see all of these things very early on those. So portfolio management must not be considered IT, organization commitment, committed sponsor, required sharing. This is very important. Once you go to a portfolio, whole lot of people don't like it because information is available to everybody. Transparency comes in, and that can be a problem. So you have to deal with it. So we tell people only load projects that are good to start with, and then load which are a little bad, and then load the last ones last. You don't have to start first day with all the projects. You start that way, but you say by the end of 6 months, everything will be loaded, and all those requires a lot of discipline, requires transparency. So I hope all that is being considered. So pre-portfolio management, this is a client, a $10 million budget for projects, 18% failure rate, so they were losing $1.8 million. They improved their project success rate just by 5% using portfolio management, and that saved them $500,000 annually, and it does not cost you $500,000 to set up a portfolio. But it takes a little time, it takes a little discipline to do that. So clear path from idea to the end, value to risk are balanced, resources are managed, exactly what airlines do running a good airline. And that's where our model came from, high rate of success. So it will save you 20 to 30% of budget in projects. So that, to us, is good portfolio management. Now we can open for our group discussion, questions you have related to this or related to them, what their experience has been. They are portfolio experts, and as you going forward. So let's start with, the session ends when we have at least 15 questions, or is the time for to go leave out, whichever comes the latest. So
before we get started, I want to take the moment and introduce Vicky Stillen. Vicky is a Deputy Director over Project Oversight at Department of Technology. She just joined us a few minutes ago. So,
welcome.
With that, let's open it up to any questions. Unfortunately, we don't have a microphone for the floor, so please
speak loud.
Pose your questions loud. Not all go at once now.
Yeah, right.
You're going to sit here till the end of the, we're going to close the back door. Everybody who does not ask a question have to pay $5 for bag of life. Yes.
Is anybody here doing anything similar to this yet?
Okay. Question is anybody doing project portfolio now similar to close to this type of approach?
D&B is.
Okay.
The only one to speak out. Yeah, D&B is. They're doing something that's similar. Yes.
So DMV is doing some things of that.
Well, I work for Becky.
Yes.
And on the EPOC, so we do project oversight.
Yes.
We use the CAPMM,
Right.
which is just
The complexity
a
part.
subset of this one.
Right. Right.
So we have our tools that we use. It's not as complex as this, but it gets the job done. It gives us some of the metrics.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good.
I'll add to that.
Please.
Thanks, Augie. The STAR project that Carlos talked about, the STAR project that many of you have heard about, perhaps you went to the earlier session today, does include, as part of the planning component, some of the analysis that you're talking about with respect to justification for the business purpose, as well as resource planning and some of that stuff. So we're trying to set up a repeatable process that makes it possible for particularly the IT people to engage the business side to make some decisions and do some planning in this area. I agree completely that one of the biggest challenges of IT projects in the state is the lack of consistent teamwork and communication and coordination between the business side and the IT side. And all too often, the IT side is asked to do something that the business hasn't thought through very carefully, both in terms of what they want as well as how they're going to support it. So I couldn't agree more that this is important, and we're going to try to help set up a framework for those discussions to happen and that kind of planning to happen. And I wanted to say one more thing about governance that you indicated, and that was that I've been through a number of governance structures in my career, some functional, some dysfunctional, more dysfunctional than functional. But one of the things I finally realized in my last job at Department of Child Support Services was it was important for us in our new governance process to have the business be the sole voters of the portfolio decisions, because IT has an inherent conflict of interest over what projects will be done. Not that we would do that, but you could very easily say, I'm going to have to work really hard on that. I don't want to do it. Vote no, you know. So we set it up so that our change control board was representatives of the business leadership of the department, as well as some representatives from the county the counties that use the systems that we provided so that they could have some buy-in too. And we found that they were very capable of making proper decisions about what to do and not to do when we did the proper resource allocations, as you were talking about. This is the amount of resources we have available to do projects, and this is the status of existing projects. Then the Change Control Board had the information it needed to decide what new things would be undertaken.
Any other panel member to any comment on that? Please.
We went through the experience at EDD while I was managing the Enterprise PMO with Sumi, who was the division chief of project portfolio manager. We had a portfolio of 15 projects, so resources was a problem for us. We know we couldn't allocate resources the way we wanted. So what we did, we prioritized and ranked the project and says, okay, which one are the most important one, and the top 3 are going to get all the resources they need, and as they get closer to completion, we will reallocate those resources and reassign them. And you have to make those tough decisions, and all the experiences, many elements that Gopal shared in his presentation, we went through it and experienced it. And I'm very pleased to say that we manage a portfolio of 15 projects with over $500 million under Sumi and myself. All of them were successful stories, but you guys never heard about them because they were projects. And as Carlos said, you hear about projects only when they hit a problem or they hit a wall. These were all success stories because of so many factors. Number one, we knew what type of staffing we needed, so we hired the right people in the project and portfolio. We held people accountable, and that came directly from Sumi, and she held me accountable, being the enterprise project manager. We shared resources among all projects. Cost was very important. Holding the customers and accountable also, and making sure that you get buy-off at every phase of the project. Without their buy-off and signature, you don't move forward, because they're going to come back and say, we didn't agree to this. So that's very important. Also, the most important thing with running any project from my perspective, emotional intelligence. Take care of your staff. Be sensitive to their need. You take care of them, they will take care of you.
That's very, very important. Last thing, that's where Making Me First came.
Yes.
Are we destroying? One other thing was, I did a study on a company 2 years ago. The CIO was written up in glowing fashion about what they were doing. And then it came to the end, which says, and people are expected to answer his calls at any time of the day or night, and so forth. And then it went on to say, and his wife has moved the PDA and all that stuff from to another room because he's taking calls all night long. So we did a little study on that, and we went to the company the website and say, employee care and benefit is our key mission. And these employees haven't seen their families for weeks. And so they were not taking care of their families.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a very, very important part. When we talk about communication plan, if you look at our communication plan for projects that take about $7 or $8 million, there's a plan in there called PR plan, which says, how are you going to manage good news and bad news in this project?
Exactly.
Because if you're not trained in doing that, people are going to make a mess all over the place, and if you do really well, nobody's going to know it.
Right.
And telling your dog is not enough. You just say, hey, I really did well today. So what big deal. So a communication plan needs to require then a PR plan, and then one of you may have to go to a class to learn the PR. They have it in universities and colleges all over the place.
Right.
So that's an important part of communication plan. All right, thank you. Other questions?
Well, I have this question. I don't know if it was early in the class during your morning session that I overheard this, or in another conference. But anyway, the question is about governance structure. So the message I overheard in the morning says that the ideal situation is to have only one project sponsor. However, in in a multi-department effort where you have two departments or three collaborating in a common project, how many sponsors are you supposed to have? One.
There is a steering committee which consists of 7, 8, 9, 10 people. One of them is a sponsor, all others on the steering committee. The sponsorship can change during development time to a person and during operation to another person, and during that can change. But very much like an airplane, when you open the cockpit, they have a word called PIC, pilot in command. That's one person. And that person makes all decisions when decisions have to be made. Now, that person will get tired, they'll move to the co-pilot seat, and the co-pilot now becomes pilot in command. So when you open the door, there's only one pilot in command. What we have is a governance board of a lot of people in the steering committee. Those people in the steering committee have to delegate their authority to one person, who then eventually makes all calls in consultation with these people. Not in agreement with all these people all the time, but in consultation with them. If you have 9 people, they're not going to always agree. And the city councils, how many mayors do you have in the city? Bloomberg is one, Sacramento is one, Roseville is one. Now there's a deputy mayor. When the main mayor is traveling, the deputy mayor becomes the mayor, but there's a one mayor at one time, and there's only one police chief at one time. So there's a one project manager, and there's a one sponsor.
Okay, I'm going to be quoting you on this.
Yes, please.
Now, furthering the question, project director. Again, the same scenario, because we're dealing with multiple departments here. So should there be a project director for each of the department, or one project director for the project?
No, there could be multiple project directors.
Okay.
That's fine, because it depends on how large the projects are. Some people call them program managers, somebody calls them project director. But for a project, there will be one project manager, and project director may have multiple project managers reporting to him or her. But so I'm not familiar with the terminologies, but as I understand, there can be multiple project directors, yes. Good. Now, the room is tilting this way. All questions are coming out of here. So somebody from the way back have to just make up a question. Or somebody from here, walk down there, tell them a question. Either way. Way back, way back.
Actually, I have a question
Yes.
for Vicky.
All right, please.
What I'd like to know is departments that take the time to establish a portfolio management structure of this nature, will they have a better and improved ability to get their projects reviewed and approved by Department of Technology?
I would say they probably would, but not simply because they have the structure, but because they're probably they're more adept at handling multiple projects, and they set up the structure because they have multiple projects. What we see are very often state departments need some significant IT project, but they don't do a lot of projects. So sometimes for them it's completely out of the blue. They don't know how to plan, they don't know how to do this stuff, and they run into some real problems when they go for a BCP. They haven't even done a business case yet, they haven't even done an FSR case yet. But departments, franchise tax board, Gene would be one example. They're doing lots of projects all the time. They have a structure for managing them. They have the information they need. They know exactly what they're doing. And so, yeah, their documents and their plans, are much more expeditiously reviewed by my division because all the information is there and it's well thought out. We do work with departments that don't have the benefit of that experience, and we try to help them get their plans in better order and do more thinking about what they're trying to do. But it's hard for departments that haven't done much of this before, and that's why we like to see a little bit more collaboration in the state. And it's starting to happen. It's starting to happen, yeah.
Question, comment, observation?
I'm curious how many people are from the business out here. Is how many?
Yeah,
people
how many people have non-IT title in the room?
A few. Good. Okay. A few.
Good.
Yeah.
Any other question? Have we educated you adequately on all this subject? Shall we close it then?
Yeah.
So do you have any question of the audience? Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.